What I mean by perfect is that it's a well-rounded film and it doesn't slack in any area. It's perfectly compact in this incredible like procedural that no one saw coming, and both twists at the end of this film no one saw coming. Hey everyone, welcome back to Canon Cinema. I'm Amanda, otherwise known as AMX NDA Reviews on Twitter, Blue Sky, and of course, Letterboxd. And you can follow me over at Instagram and of course Threads as well, where all my reviews have been. I've been a bit MIA because my voice has been gone. But there's no way that I can let an Oscar Sunday pass by without giving my final predictions. So we're just going to get straight into it. It's been a very crazy whirlwind of a season. I'm kind of happy that it's almost done. It has been the most confusing and still exciting award season that we've had, even though there's been some pretty batshit things happen. I'm just going to let the categories do the talking and you'll see where I'm leaning more towards. So I usually do a who should win, who will win, and who I want to win. And I know that's a bit like excessive, but given the past 5 years have been like very unconventional things happening, it makes sense to have like 3 separate ballots. You know, because the Academy members they're gonna Academy. They're gonna do some weird stuff as they have been. You can see that. And then, you know, you have your personal picks. Like, why not? And I'm gonna just bring in the nominees here. So we're gonna start off with visual effects. So we have Alien Romulus, Better Man, Dune Part 2, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and Wicked. I personally think that it is going to go to Dune Part 2. It kind of does go to the tech categories. I know Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes has won. If I had to say, Better Man would be like winning way more than it should and get nominated for way more than it should, because I think Better Man's phenomenal. So I think Dune Part 2 will win. I think Better Man should win. And my personal pick truly would be Better Man. So I'm locking in Dune Part 2 for visual effects. So if I scroll up a bit more, so for best sound, we have A Complete Unknown, Dune Part 2, Emilia Perez, Wicked, and The Wild Robot. I've always kind of hated that they separated sound mixing and sound editing because they're two very different things. I've said this in previous videos. I do think that the sound mixing in A Complete Unknown is fantastic. I love that they brought that to a very heavy concert film. You needed to have at least good sound. The script wasn't the greatest. But then, you know, Dune Part 2 for sound is the exact same thing, more like sound mixing again, but the sound editing is really well done in layering as well. Emilia Perez is there. I didn't think it was that great. Wicked did well for a musical, I think. I think it flowed quite effortlessly, and they did it really, really well. And I think for a musical, obviously, that's why it's here for best sound. It's a very strong category. I would love to give this to Dune Part 2. I do think it is going to win visual effects, like all the tech categories. So I would give it to Dune Part 2. If it's not going to win best picture, give it all the tech categories that you can. So next, production design, bane of my existence. I'm going to go on a little rant here for production design. We have The Brutalist, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Nosferatu, and Wicked. Not a knock to Wicked. It's a very magical place. They had to build those sets from scratch. It's very imaginative and original, and I absolutely loved it. You felt like you were in Oz, and I think they did an incredible job there. Nosferatu the same. I do think because it's like gothic horror, they had much more that they could do with for the production design, and I thought it was very accurate and authentic to the period. For me, it's Conclave. And I watched it the other night again. It's like probably like my 5th time watching it. I love this movie. I think to reimagine, you know, the Sistine Chapel, to rebuild these incredible set pieces, because you have to be so detailed in replicating something that not many people have access to. That's what people are failing to understand. It's like, yeah, you can kind of tour the Vatican and the Basilica, but you're not going to know what the interior actually feels like. And you get a sense of that in this film as they rebuilt it. And I think like especially rebuilding the Sistine Chapel, like these glorious hallways, like you you do know what it looks like, but you also don't, because again, no one has access to these places. So I think that's why I would personally want Conclave to win. These are breathtaking set pieces, and I was just blown away by how rich they made everything look with, the constraint that they did have in building these sets. That was fantastic work all around. Unfortunately, Wicked is locked for production design because, as I said, it's more imaginative and very authentic and original to Oz. Wicked will win, so I'm locking in Wicked for production design. My personal choice is definitely Conclave. We can move on to the next one. A song's very easy, actually. We have El Mal from Emilia Perez. We have The Journey from the 6HHH. Shout out to Diane Warren for another nomination. We have Like a Bird from Sing Sing, which should be winning. Sorry. And then we have Mi Camino from Emilia Perez. We have Never Too Late from the Elton John doc as well. So El Mal has been winning. That is the front runner as of right now. I would love to lock this in, but given what has happened with Emilia Perez in The Fall from Grace, which has been insane, I don't know what's going to happen Oscar night. I don't even know if Zoe Saldana is going to take it home, to be honest. But El Mal is the front runner. It's the best choreographed musical number, personally, I think, more than Mi Camino. Would I love Like a Bird from Sing Sing to win? Absolutely. I cried at the end of that film with that song. I thought it was fantastic. So El Mal's locked, but I would love Like a Bird from Sing Sing to actually win. That would be a lovely surprise if they're not going to give it anything else. And also justice for Robbie Williams, because he should be performing Rock DJ at the Oscars, but like Better Man deserves better as a whole. If you haven't watched it, it is one of the best biopics I've ever seen. Next, we have international feature film. This got interesting because I do think that I'm Still Here is the front runner now. I don't think it's Emilia Perez. Would I love The Seat of the Sacred Fig to win? Absolutely. We're not going to get that, unfortunately, because it is the better film out of the five, in my personal opinion. I think it's fantastic. And we have Flow. We have an animated feature in international feature film, which I think is like incredible. Again, like we're seeing The Wild Robot in other categories. Now we're seeing Flow in other categories. So I think that's just brilliant. I would vote for I'm Still Here. I do think that it is a very strong front runner as of right now. We're going to switch with Emilia Perez. I can see it winning after the whole controversy. My personal pick would either be The Seat of the Sacred Fig or Flow. I would still take I'm Still Here with Emilia Perez still right underneath it, because you never know at these places. We know they're going to, the Globes are going to globe, which they did. The SAGs are going to SAG, which they did, and now the Academy is going to Academy like they always do. So they're going to keep us on our toes here. So next we have film editing. Film editing got interesting because we're waiting on packages for Conclave. And here's the thing. Conclave didn't have a strong enough package before the BAFTAs. So the BAFTAs really came in swinging, and it also got film editing. So the BAFTAs literally went so hard for Conclave. Rightfully so. But that's what's been giving it the little push. People have said The Brutalist, which I disagree with. People have said Anora, which I also disagree with. I do think that the strongest, even before the BAFTA win here, is definitely Conclave. Wicked, also very strong for its editing because of how fast-paced it went. I didn't see any pacing issues with Wicked. But after that Conclave win at BAFTA, I'm like, yes, I do think that Conclave has a very fair shot of winning editing here, because there was no clear front runner whatsoever for editing, and now we have it with Conclave. It is the most polished out of everyone nominated here. Once it kicks into high gear with revealing what happens with each cardinal, I think it's just so swift and like bang, 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 like right afterwards. And then you have these incredible reveals that are so subtle, but also impactful to the narrative. So I do think that it just wraps it into like a very tight little bow. And that's why I think it's a perfect film. What I mean by perfect is that it's a well-rounded film and it doesn't slack in any area. It's perfectly compact in this incredible like procedural that no one saw coming. And both twists at the end of this film, no one saw coming. Because again, on paper, this probably wouldn't have interested anyone. But then what Edward Berger does, along with his entire team, makes it so intense. And again, that's a testament to Nick Emerson's editing, because each conversation is perfectly placed in order to build that anticipation to what the final vote will be. And I think it's just fantastic work. So I'm locking in Conclave across the board. Who should win, who will win. My personal pick as well for editing. And I think I pleaded my case here for Conclave. I did not watch the documentary short films. Unfortunately, I don't have access to them, so I'm not going to dive into this. If you do check out Adriano Caparosso's videos, he did watch all the documentary short films and all of the animated short films, which are right here, even the documentary feature films. He's watched every single nominee, so go check out Adriano Caparosso's videos, because he covers them extremely well. So I will drop his videos below, and you can just go take a look there, because he does do an in-depth kind of analysis on who should win. But I do hear that No Other Land is fantastic, so I think that's front runner right now. Next, we're gonna go to cinematography, which pissed me off. What doesn't piss me off? There's always one category where I'm like, what the hell did you guys do here? One, realistically, should not be here, and you know exactly which one should not be here. Lol Crawley for The Brutalist, fantastic work. It's not you, buddy. Definitely not you. 100% not you. I thought it was fantastic. So for me, front runner, definitely The Brutalist right now. I can't. It's the one thing that I will give it. Two things I'll give it. We'll get to that after. Then we have Dune Part 2. Greg Fraser, you king that you are. You've made Dune so incredibly beautiful to look at. You have Maria by Ed Lachman. I haven't seen it, but everyone raves about the cinematography, so it's rightfully so there. And you have Jaron Blashki for Nosferatu. I thought that cinematography was breathtaking as well. Again, with Gothic horror, you can kind of play around with the shadows, and it's really important. And I loved just the framing of Count Orlok majority of the time. Emilia Perez shouldn't be here, because there are two films, Nickel Boys and Conclave, that should really be in the mix here. And I'm so upset, especially more so with Conclave. Like, obviously, I haven't seen Nickel Boys, so I can only speak to what I've seen. Conclave should be here. The work in Conclave is fantastic. Again, there's not one thing that wavers in that movie, and the fact that it missed cinematography and Emilia Perez is there is nauseating to me. My pick right now is The Brutalist. Again, if we come back to package, The Brutalist needs something below the line, because I don't think it's going to get as many wins as people think it's going to. This is definitely one of them that it has to win, because if it misses cinematography, that means that they don't love The Brutalist as much as we had anticipated. So you're going to see that early on in the night, where if The Brutalist doesn't win certain tech categories that, you know, they would have a lock, to be perfectly honest, then that's going to be very telling of Best Picture and Director as well. Next, I'm going to move up to animated. Sorry about the ads again, guys. Animated feature. We have Flow, and then we have Inside Out 2, Memoir of a Snail, Wallace and Gromit: Vengeance Most Foul, and we have The Wild Robot. It's realistically between The Wild Robot and Flow. Can I see an upset with Flow winning? Absolutely. Do I think that because The Wild Robot is more beloved than Flow, can I see it winning? Yes. I would love to see Flow win. I really liked it. It's only an hour and a half. If you have access to it, please watch it. I think it's very well done. Very powerful. You get attached to these characters quite easily just based on characteristics of each animal. And I think that's brilliant. It was a brilliant way to do a silent film. I think that Wild Robot's slightly going to edge out Flow. Who will win is The Wild Robot. Who should win? I'm still torn between Flow and The Wild Robot. And my personal pick would also be torn between Flow and The Wild Robot. They're two very different films. They're executed differently, but it still has a sense of community, which I think is really important here. So I'd be happy with whichever one, to be honest, at the end of the day. Animated feature never gets me mad. It's the wholesome category that we all love. So next we have original score. There you see The Wild Robot again before I even say anything. We have The Brutalist, Daniel Blumberg, Conclave, Vogel Bertelmann, Emilia Perez, Clement Ducal, and Camille, Wicked, John Powell, and Steven Schwartz, and The Wild Robot by Chris Bowers. Here's the thing. I don't want The Brutalist to win. But this is a score that I'm pretty sure it's going to win, unfortunately. This is another one that should be locked for The Brutalist. It'd be crazy for The Wild Robot to win. I think that'd be amazing for Chris Bowers. Again, animation in a different category. It's just, oh, it brings me so much joy. But as of right now, I will lock in The Brutalist. I would want Conclave to win. And I do think that The Brutalist should win. There you go. I will give you guys original score and cinematography. Okay? Those are the two that will give you below the line in tech categories. I'll give it to them. Next we have, it's makeup and hairstyling. So we have A Different Man, Emilia Perez, Nosferatu, The Substance, and Wicked. This realistically should go to The Substance. I do want it to go to The Substance because then that will be a fantastic package for Demi Moore to win for Best Actress. I do think that that is the tandem that has been moving forward because even with The Whale, it happened that way, I believe. I do think that's going to be the pairing. Could also go to Wicked. So it could go production design, makeup, and hairstyling for Wicked. Would be very interesting. I love the makeup in Nosferatu. If it wins anything, I would rather it take this than production design because Count Orlok to this day it stayed with me. That final image is just, oh my god, it's fantastic. So I'm locking in The Substance. I think it should win. It will win. Next is live action short film. Like I said, Adriano Caparuso watched all of them, so you can check out his video. And then we have costume design right after. This locked for sure is Wicked. We have A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Gladiator 2, Nosferatu, Wicked. I would love Conclave to win this. I really would, just because I think it's such richness with what they gave us. I just love how beautiful it all looks. I think that it would be really cool if Conclave won here, but it is going to go to Wicked because it's imaginative, because it's inventive, and it belongs to Oz. I do think that production design costume tandem for Wicked, if it wins anything, it's going to be that. So I am locking in Wicked for should win, will win. But I'm a Conclave girly. I think it would be great if they actually won. Next, we have animated short film. Here, you can also go to Adriano Caparuso. He has the full list of this as well. Here, he goes through them all. I unfortunately couldn't get to them, but he did. So go to his channel and check that out. Next, we have, it's a big one. Holy, we got original screenplay. Anora, The Brutalist, A Real Pain, September 5, and The Substance. This has to be the wackiest category, okay? The actual wackiest category. I don't know what to do here. I don't know because Anora won WGA and A Real Pain won, and then The Substance won at these precursors. The Brutalist did not win for screenplay. September 5, I don't know why you're there. I'm just going to say that point blank. So here's the thing, and it comes down to package again. Anora won PGA, DGA, and WGA. Writers Guild, Producers Guild, and Directors Guild. To me, that sometimes means nothing because we've seen all that unfold and then something out of left field just blasts the stats up, blasts all that up. If it goes the way that it is meant to based on precursors, we're going to have a Sean Baker sweep, which I cannot see happening for Anora. No offense to people who love Anora. I love Anora, but I cannot see this winning Best Picture. I don't think it's a well-rounded film. Did I have fun with it? Absolutely. I don't think it's as polished as I would expect a Best Picture winner to be. Do I think that it is the best directed film of the year? No, I also don't think that it's the best directed film of the year. So I don't think that Sean Baker can win for director as well. I don't care that it won DGA, PGA. I don't care. I don't care about any of that. I understand, but stats, Amanda, I don't care. At the end of the day, I cannot see it based on Academy voting. And I know that the guilds, some people are a part of the Academy members. I get all of that. If we're focused on what the Academy usually votes on, I cannot see them leaning on Anora. This is where Anora needs to win because then it wins something. Or else it is going to goose egg and all of this back and forth, like, oh, now Anora is the front runner. Like, all of this is going to mean absolutely nothing. If Anora loses original screenplay, it's not getting picture. Here, I can most definitely see A Real Pain win because it's won more than Anora. Obviously, it didn't win where it should have, but it has won. Anora needs to win original screenplay. Sean Baker needs to win for Anora. I personally will pick Anora as my pick. I think that A Real Pain should win, and A Real Pain is my personal pick. At first, I thought it was going to be The Substance. If you're not going to award Coralie Farge in director, then you can at least give her screenplay, because then the makeup screenplay actress is tight enough for The Substance. So I'm locking in Anora. I didn't think I would lock in Anora, but watch for A Real Pain. And if A Real Pain wins here, Anora is not winning Best Picture. Because when we go to adapted screenplay, all right, look what's in adapted screenplay. You have A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Amelia Perez, Nickel Boys, and Sing Sing. Would I love Sing Sing? Absolutely. Would I love Nickel Boys? Absolutely. It would be freaking a kick in the pants if Nickel Boys won, but fortunately for me, Conclave is front runner. Conclave is locked. And here we go again. With Conclave, the package is editing, adapted screenplay, and then picture. Would I love for it to win more than that? Absolutely. But if Conclave can maybe get production design randomly because the Academy loved it, I'll be jumping like up and down. But getting the screenplay picture, that's what's going to have Conclave winning. And I do think that it's going to go that route. So they have 3. It's going to be Conclave, editing, and then Best Picture. I do think it's going to go that way. It's locked across the board for adapted screenplay 150%. Moving forward, actress in a supporting role. I'm going to make this quick. It is going to Zoe Saldana. That's locked. She's been sweeping it amongst, Monica Barbaro, Ariana Grande, Felicity Jones, Isabella Rossellini. Perfect. Would they completely throw something out of left field and give Isabella Rossellini her legacy win? That would be absolutely crazy. Massive curveball, depending on how much they actually care about Amelia Perez now. I don't think that's going to happen. So Zoe Saldana is completely locked. I'm going to make supporting actor the exact same. It's Yura Borisov, Kieran Culkin, Edward Norton, Guy Pearce, Jeremy Strong. Kieran Culkin's locked. He's been locked. It's a sweep for both supporting categories. There's nothing more that can be said here. So here, Best Actress is the one that's going to, I guess, surprise people. I don't think it's surprising. Is it amazing that Mikey Madison's getting her flowers? Absolutely. She's too young to win this Oscar. She also doesn't have the filmography to back up her actually winning this right now in her career. I think she's way too young for that. I don't think that the narrative is in her favor this Oscar season, whereas Demi Moore in The Substance has the perfect narrative for her to win and the perfect path for her to win. So I just don't think that based on stats and based on Anora, because it's always I'm not a stats person. I'm going with the way the Academy tends to vote. That's just the way I am. If that aligns with stats, perfect. But if it doesn't, then I'll take the L. I don't care. But it's the simple fact that Demi has the better narrative this season. Anora started to gain traction after WGA, PGA, all of that stuff, and then BAFTAs. But realistically, Mikey's only won BAFTA. And I knew she wasn't going to win the SAG, no offense to her, but because of who Demi Moore is, it doesn't make sense for Mikey to win at the SAG either, considering Demi Moore's longevity here in her career. So everyone's saying it's a legacy win. I'm like, it's not a legacy win because it's a fantastic performance. For me, it's the performance of the year. I loved her in The Substance, but it also helps her campaign that she has been in the industry longer. Not knocking that, no offense again to Mikey, but she has a very long career ahead of her. To get a nomination this early on is absolutely fantastic at her age. We're not going to see the last of her here, but Demi's taking it. I'm locking Demi Moore in. And then we go on to actor in a leading role. Listen, from what I've seen with the Academy members who thought that Ralph Fiennes won for either The English Patient or they won for Schindler's List, do your homework, fam. What do you mean that you didn't vote for him because he already has one and then you go vote Adrian Brody who has one? I'm not understanding what you're doing. Do your homework. If I know this, you should know this. I'm not even a voter. So Ralph Fiennes got screwed over because people don't know the history of the Academy, apparently. So that's very upsetting because I think that Ralph Fiennes has one of the best performances of the year. Would I love Coleman Domingo to win? Absolutely. He's going to get his flowers eventually. He's been nominated way too many times in the past like 6 years for him not to get something. Sebastian Stan's here, and I'm just so proud that he's nominated. I don't think he's going to win, but him getting recognition means that in the future he'll be in the conversation more often, depending on the roles that he chooses, and I'm very excited for him. It's between Adrien Brody and Timothée Chalamet. This is a stat that I like because if Timmy wins, he will be known as the youngest Oscar winner ever, and he will take that away from Adrien Brody. Adrien Brody already has an Oscar. Point blank. Do I want Timmy to win for a biopic? Absolutely not. I don't want that to happen for him. But it would just be like the cherry on top for The Brutalist to not get the recognition for it. Even though I do think that Brody gives a very strong performance, it's not my favorite of the year. But by a percentage, I will give it to Brody. I do think he is winning, unfortunately. I don't want him to. And if The Brutalist is going to walk away empty-handed, then I would at least give it to Brody for The Brutalist because he was the movie. I don't know what's going to happen. It's crazy because I do think that for Timmy to win the SAG, it's very telling how much they do love Timothy versus Adrien Brody. I'm not saying they dislike him. So I'd lock in Brody, but don't be fooled by Timmy. I think that the SAG win is kind of a big deal. Next, we have Best Director. Like I said, it's Baker, Courbet, Mangold, Audiard, Farge. Where's Berger? I don't think Audiard should be here. I don't think Mangold should be here either. But like I said, if The Brutalist wins anything apart from, cinematography, score, it needs to win director here. I can't see any of the rest of them winning for Best Director because he directed the hell out of The Brutalist. As much as I dislike it, I do think that the direction in that film is fantastic. I can't see Sean Baker winning for Nora. I'm locking in Brady Corbet for The Brutalist. I know that Sean Baker won the DGA, but I can't see it happening. I can't see it happening for Nora. I'm really sorry. I want it to, but because of the Conclave flip now, I don't know how it's going to work out. Now we have Best Picture. So we have Nora, The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Doom Part 2, Amelia Perez, I'm Still Here, Nickel Boys, The Substance, and Wicked. I'm going to leave it here because the reason I'm going to leave it here is based on Conclave being right there, center, focus. Focus Features has never won Best Picture. And that is a lovely stat that I just found out. I think people being able to tie Conclave in with real events like Oppenheimer because of the memes. I think memes are very important, and making memes out of them generates a talking point. It generates a discussion. And I do think that it is the most impactful film of 2024 based on what's nominated here. Wicked was always going to be popular. Same thing as Barbie. Are they Best Picture winners? I don't think so. Doom Part 2, unfortunately, has zero pull. And I have no idea why up until this day. Anora doesn't have the pull. I see people talk about Anora, but not as much as people talk about Conclave. And I do think that's why it's going to be front runner. I do think that it is the well-rounded film of the year. I do think that people objectively love Conclave. I know there's a couple of people who don't like it, and that's fine. There's a percentage of people who just think that it's boring and it's bland and it's not a good film. I don't see it, but I do think that the reason Conclave is going to win Best Picture is because of that adapted screenplay. I think it is one of the best scripts of the year. I think it's fantastic. I think it explores such valuable ideologies and, values that we all need to just take a look at and assess, considering what's been happening in the world. I think it's the most powerful film of 2024, just based on words being exchanged and, doubting, faith. And there's all of these uncertainties in life, but you have to be able to look at both sides of the same coin in order to unify people. And I think that that's a very important message, here in Conclave, that can be applied. And that's why I think it is front runner right now. I'm going to lock in Conclave. I have to go down with my ship. I've come this far. At first, there's no way in hell at the beginning of this season that I thought Conclave even had a chance. but picking up editing and then having it win best film at BAFTA, having it win best ensemble at SAG, like it's a big deal. I know it didn't win PGA. I know that like Burger's not nominated here and that could hurt its chances, but they could kind of split everything as they've done in previous years. The package of conclave picture, adapted screenplay, film editing, if there's a couple of surprises with like score or even production design or costume design, it's very telling at the very beginning of the night where it's going to lead. But like I said, I'm going to lock in Conclave. Do I think Anora could take it? Absolutely. I think it could take it based on stats. I'm not basing this on stats right now. I'm basing it on everything as a whole. And this entire award season, how it affects perspective of the world and how it's been influencing people. That's how I'm looking at Conclave as the best picture winner. I do think it is the most well-rounded film of 2024. So I have talked your ear off. That is how I feel about the Oscars this season. These are my final predictions. I've locked them in with you all. And please let me know in the comments below how you feel about my predictions, who you think will win, how many awards do you think certain films will win. Give me your take on the whole Demi Mikey situation, the Adrian Timothy situation. Give me all of that in the comments below. And I will be watching on Sunday. I will be tweeting. Make sure that you follow me on X. I will be doing live coverage the entire Oscar Sunday with my ballots. Get your ballots ready. If you guys enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. You can always follow me over at AMX ND Reviews on Twitter, Blue Sky, and of course Letterboxd. You can check out my Instagram and my threads down below. I'll catch you guys next time. Keep watching movies.